Hey, I'm Carson, and this is my third video for Project Creative. So to get started, I wanted to talk about what I learned about innovation that I didn't know beforehand. So the biggest thing I learned was that you kind of have to ignore the people that are doubting you and really focus in on whatever it is you want. Now, I originally thought that this is kind of a bad sign, right? If everyone's telling you not to do something and you go ahead with it, that people would say like he's stupid or something. But sometimes you gotta double down on your ideas because well, it's from an interesting quote that I found saying that the success score of innovators is typically around 25% or less. Now, that can obviously be fairly scary to some people just starting, but even if you failed 100 times, if you succeed just a few times, then you're at least at a better place than where you started, and you can continue growing off of why you succeeded there and learn from that, right? Now, on top of that, uh, innovation and inventions are things that typically get mixed up between the two, and that's fairly easy to see why. Inventions are really just new ideas, right? They don't necessarily have to be good. They don't have to be great. They're just brand new ideas of things that people just thought of and tried to make into reality, which is great. But innovation, that's bringing out the full potential of inventions. And the reason for that is because essentially an invention can be made for one thing, but innovators, they may realize that there is another use for that machine or whatever invention it is. They may realize that they can make it applicable towards their business. And because of that, innovation is really the backbone of the prosperity that can be had from inventions. They can't really have that much success if it weren't for the amount of innovators out there trying their best to utilize those inventions. Now, in terms of innovation, entrepreneurship, and creativity's abilities to really help out each other, it can be pretty easy to see, in my opinion. For here, uh, the most obvious thing is that, well, entrepreneurs, they have to use innovation to kind of grow their business models, right? In order to really at least step a foot into whatever it is they're doing, they need to innovate and come up with different ideas to really help boost their business. And in order for them to innovate, they need those ideas. And that kind of stems from creativity. Because creativity is kind of like a spontaneous generation of ideas, or at least that's an approach to it. So all of these things kind of get tangled up with one another and they kind of play off of each other, really helping out for whatever it is that entrepreneur is doing. Now, in terms of the importance of innovation, I think it's pretty evident how important it is in our society. I mean, if you just look around, you just step outside, and innovation is everywhere, right? From our cars to the cell phones we use to the computers we use. If we didn't have innovators out there trying to do brand new things and make new ideas come into reality, right? We wouldn't have all these cool things. Like imagine trying to live without electricity or the internet at all. It'd be like pretty terrible, I'd say, for all of us. Now, some other examples I've provided here include X-rays because they have changed healthcare in quite a positive way, really helping physicians trying to figure out exactly where bones are so that they can fix them. In addition, televisions have really changed how we enjoy entertainment, though nowadays it's kind of getting phased out a little more, mostly because, well, everyone has computers, and we also have streaming services, so that shows that innovation is constantly changing and shifting how things are in the world. One quote I saw interesting was that 84% of executives believe that their future success is dependent on innovation, which honestly, it could even be higher and I'd still believe it because if your company's not growing, then that's a much higher chance that it's probably going to die one day, right? Because if you're not growing, then what are you really doing? It's not generally good to be stagnant. You should be growing every day if you could. But some common approaches that I've found when it comes to innovation include developing a realistic goal and kind of just focusing on improving iterations of whatever it is that you're working on to make it be better than the last one, right? Because if you constantly improve on something small, like a small amount each time, then but eventually will be so much better than the last one that it's just going to be crazy to you that you've improved so much. In addition to that, it's good to kind of approach problems from the user's point of view, because it's a good way to kind of see where there might be some hiccups or some problems with whatever it is you're doing, right? So I think utilizing that idea, it's a really good way to kind of iron out all those small problems and to help generate new ones, right? Because you might think of, if it's not something that you would do, right, then why would someone else do it, right? So one quote I found interesting is that you kind of have to apply these innovations to the marketplace. So these approaches are relatively the same for different business models, but you're gonna have to adapt it to whatever it is you're working on. And because of that, it can be very challenging, but it can also lead you to the greatest success if you follow those sorts of those rules, or even try to make new ones yourself. And these are my references that I used. Thank you for listening.